it'll be November by the time this goes up, but we're still keeping in the spooky spirit here.
Oh yeah, like, it is spooky time when we're recording this, so it still counts, dang it.
Yeah, welcome back to Abbott Mickey. Last time we entered the Lonesome Manor. We went through the 2D level based on the Mad Doctor, but now we are in the Lonesome Manor proper.
Oh, this has got some atmosphere.
Oh yes. As long as we don't have, like, a possessed piano chasing us, I think we'll be fine.
Well, the night's still young. It may show up later. So there are, as is tradition in this game, multiple ways to complete our objective, which is just to open the gate to get us to the next area of the mansion. Yeah, believe it or not, this is actually something of a tutorial for something that will happen much later in the level.
I was wondering when those guys were going to explode.
Yeah, Spladooshs are actually kind of easy to deal with as long as you don't push the analog stick all the way over. Because that's what they really respond to negatively.
I see. So it's kind of like a sneaking mission.
In a sense, yeah.
I'm digging this battle music, by the way.
Yeah, it's great. Anyway, over here, we've encountered Beetleworks generators before, but I don't think I had showed off that you can thin out the red eyes in each generator, and that will short-circuit the generator and cause Beetleworks to no longer spawn.
Kaboom. Got a bit of a wide radius there. I didn't expect that to actually hit you from all the way over there.
Oh yeah, that is in a rare inversion of how this game deals with player choice. While it is easier to deal with thinner Spladooshs or Spladooshs with thinner, I should say, it ends up being more of a hassle.
And yeah, the camera there was perhaps not cooperating nearly as much, like when you get slapped into the wall.
Fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, they're actually, through all the Let's Play footage, there haven't been that many camera mishaps overall, which I would just like to assure anyone who has not played this game that I am not overselling how bad the camera can get at times. I've just gotten lucky.
Very, I assume.
You do have plenty of experience with this game.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh, I see. So I guess we just put a TV on one of the pressure plates and then we stand on the other one?
Yeah, or actually there are some simultaneous examples of this, but in this case, you just have to press both switches at all, I think.
And does it have to be an anvil?
For that particular style of switch, yes. The idea being that the switch is jammed, and only the pressure of an anvil can unjam it.
I guess that kind of follows.
Now, my suspicion would be the devs were just playing a lot of Portal in their downtime.
That could be.
Could be, though I'm not sure, but this game came out, on the Wii, and, the Orange Box... When did the Orange Box come out?
The Orange Box was in 2007. So this game came out 3 years after that.
They definitely had time to figure out how to finish Portal.
That's true, I guess. I figure you probably could beat Portal in 3 years.
So, helping Screeching Sam is considered the paint version of getting out of this room. There is, in fact, something of an alternate solution, which we just permanently opted out of by painting in the skulls.
what do we what could we do instead then?
Well, you might have noticed that there was a painting of Chernobog above the entrance there. Behind that is a gremlin, and also there's also a piece of concept art over there, which I had forgotten about. I think at some point I edited in the piece of concept art that I was missing. But essentially that gremlin will, for a fee, open the door for you temporarily, and you have to rush over there before the gate closes. And that, of course, locks you out of being able to free Screeching Sam. It is possible to do both, but only if you deliberately fail the timed challenge, because you can still free the gremlin and grab the piece of concept art. You just don't walk through the gate, and you can still go back for Sam.
Yeah, I don't know, like, I feel like in this case, the easy path is probably the one that people would be likely to run into. I don't know how many people would think to thinner away the painting versus, you know, not like holding down two very large, obvious switches.
Well, I mean, we'll see the painting in a couple minutes here. It has the same bright color scheme as all of the other Toon objects that you can paint out with thinner. Additionally, by raising that staircase, there's a nook underneath there, and that's where I would have found the film reel with Colonel Pete for that one side quest that Pete wanted us to do.
And you didn't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, Pete's gonna be upset.
I mean, we already killed Tron Pete.
And that's the painting up there of Chernobog. It is possible to thin it out, but we can't reach it from here. And here's the piece of concept art that I was unable to get.
Oh,
There it is.
very cool.
And on to the next 2D level.
The stretching room?
Yeah, that is a reference to the Haunted Mansion ride. So this is The Haunted House from 1929. It was something of an in-between project. Iwerks, who was still the lead animator, pretty much doing everything by himself with occasional help. He was working on the early Silly Symphonies at the time. So about half of this cartoon is recycled footage from the Skeleton Dance. But in the other half are just other, basic comedic shenanigans of Mickey going into the haunted house.
I see, yeah. I kind of like the atmosphere here.
Yeah, it's great. This was also one of the last cartoon shorts that Disney and Iwerks distributed under Celebrity Pictures, which was their original distributor just for the years of 28 and 29. There was a creative falling out after Disney and Pat Powers, who was the lead executive at Celebrity Pictures, which was part of a number of different studios that together merged into what we now know as Universal Pictures. But there was a financial disagreement between them, and eventually Pat Powers lured Iwerks away from Disney to set up his own studio, which only lasted a couple of years, and then Iwerks went back. Also, that glitch is 100% consistent. The cutscene of Mickey jumping into the projector does not trigger.
Wonder why that projector specifically.
I don't know, but there's one other projector, I can't remember if we've already seen it, where the camera angle doesn't change, but everything else works as intended.
Those names. Do those names have any significance?
Well, I mean, we have talked before about Constance Hatchaway. We're supposed to find her hatchet later on. these are all parodies of the stretching paintings that appear in the stretching room in the Haunted Mansion. They are... I don't know if they're based on older versions of those paintings or just like Mad Magazine parody equivalents, but those three they're very famous paintings. There's a fourth of a lady on a tightrope with, I think it's like a shark or some other giant fish right underneath her. But that one isn't in this room for some reason.
Yeah, the art reminds me somewhat of Norman Rockwell, actually, if I'm going to be honest.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. So those names, I think, I don't know for sure, but I think that the woman on top of the gravestone, is Constance Hatchaway, and those are the names of her ex-husbands who all died under mysterious circumstances.
Obviously not hatchet-related circumstances.
No, definitely not. She used a knife instead. Anyway, this is a dumb puzzle. I don't like it, but thankfully, this gremlin over here will just do the puzzle for us. He doesn't even ask for any money. Thank you, Gremlin Sydney. You saved me a lot of time.
So is this the good path or the evil path?
It's a neutral path, as long as you just solve the puzzle. See, this is actually an inspirational story, because one day, yes, your useless art history degree will actually mean something, and it may even save your life.
That's true.
The one gremlin that went to art school.
Exactly. It's a real shame that Oswald shut down Wasteland's only liberal arts college, like a couple of years after that guy graduated.
Still has to pay back his student loans, though.
Yeah. So that painting is in the original version of that. There are three men standing on top of each other, but they're in quicksand.
Oh, that's kind of morbid.
This one is more or less identical, except the in the Haunted Mansion painting, the guy actually is wearing pants. Oh, don't worry, Gus. It's already been set. We're just looking at the various areas here, because there are some unlockables, but they're in the top level. I should include some footage here, but the paintings there's like a minute or two section before the actual dark ride starts, where the guests are brought into an elevator of some sort, and the paintings are made to look like they're stretching. And I believe those paintings also change and shift depending on how you look at them, or I may be confusing them with paintings later on.
Oh, so wow. You got wrecked, son.
Yep.
An instant death pit? That's unfair.
Though
It is a death
should
pit,
have.
though.
It probably should have been instant, to be fair.
There's no way out of there, is there?
Not without dying.
Which you did.
And there's one other piece. I think it's a gold pin that's in this chest over here. I do wish that when you collected them, and that the image hovering above Mickey's head was also the image of the pin. Because, I mean, they're both... It already just uses a 2D sprite. You may have noticed there have been a bunch of 2D objects in this game.
Sure.
It gets really obvious in Epic Mickey 2 once I show off the, like the opening 2 hours of that. I never really got a chance to properly introduce the Mad Doctor, the short, that is, during the previous 2D level, but this is... It is a... while it is still pretty scary at parts, it is also like a parody of the Universal monster films. Sort of like, what Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein would do 15 years later.
Oh, yeah. Like, Abbott and Costello did a lot of crossover films.
Yeah, I cannot emphasize this enough. The Mad Doctor communicates entirely in song in that cartoon. Which, I guess I should also talk about the Mad Doctor's voice actor, who I discovered is a very interesting fellow. He was one of those guys who primarily does, like, the singing voice for lead actors in live-action movies. Although he did, of course, do some work for Disney. Oh, no! Oh, it was all a dream. Of course it was.
I see.
And we have Pluto's doghouse over here, because if I remember correctly, the inciting incident was Pluto running off and Mickey following him into the mansion.
Pluto runs off, Mickey follows him, and then when he wakes up, he goes over and gives Pluto a big ol' hug.
But not before the Mad Doctor tries to rip his shadow from his body.
Yeah.
This being Pluto, not Mickey.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Weird things always seem to happen to Pluto in these.
Like, I remember, one of the Mickey Mouse shorts, like, one of the ones that I saw, like, involving, like, Pluto, like, getting really fat off of dog treats and then bulking up after, doing all sorts of things to lose weight. I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
Oh yeah, I remember Pluto tries the Atlas diet.
The one I always remember is Pluto chases the cat and ends up in hell.
That was Plutopia, actually. We looked through that. There was a 2D level based on that.
Yep.
So this is Madame Leona. In the Haunted Mansion ride, there is a mysterious Romani woman named Madame Leota, portrayed by Leota Toombs, who was one of the primary Imagineers at Disneyland in the 60s. In the Haunted Mansion ride and in some of the canon or other adaptations, she's usually some kind of a psychic or a mind reader, but here Leona is a very strict librarian.
It is interesting how they do try to meld the story of the rides with, trying to make it video game stages. It's an interesting sort of, almost a bit of Imagineering of their own, you might say.
Yeah, certainly. But for those of you playing at home, by the way, do not talk to Madame Leona until you have done everything in this level. Because talking to her again locks you in, or at least it will after you deal with the disquieted spirits, which is the one mandatory objective you have to do. Well, I mean, Leona did say she cares about her books, and there seems to be several of them flying around the room.
So what you're saying is that if you talk to her again, then it'll just progress to the next part of the storyline without even being all like, are you sure you're finished or something?
Yeah, specifically once you paint in the skulls, it will lock you in to forward progress without the chance to backtrack and grab anything you missed.
Well, that sucks.
I'm almost certain it's a bug. It does not seem like the kind of thing that the developers would pull as a cute trick or anything.
You're doing very well, Mickey. Blah.
Also, it is very heavily implied that the marble busts are actually vessels that contain the spirits of Constance Hatchaway's dead husbands.
That does bring up a question, though. Given that in these Disney productions, quite a few things can just kind of come to life and start dancing around, is it possible that Mickey is, like, in order to get, like, paint and tickets, like, is it possible that he's breaking stuff that may or may not be actually alive?
I think it would fit the tone of this game to say yes.
That's gruesome.
I mean, there is some strange connection between, what counts as the real world versus the cartoon versus the wasteland. And these are Madame Leona's paintings. These are actually based on paintings that were scrapped from the original. That is the Headless Horseman from Sleepy Hollow.
Okay.
This one over here, I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's supposed to be Dracula's castle. Because at one point, Dracula was supposed to be one of the shifting paintings. I think he ended up in Walt Disney World in that version, but he has never been in the Disneyland version.
Honestly, that kind of also looks like, I might be wrong, but that looks a lot like the castle in the first episode of Gargoyles.
Oh yeah, it does.
Huh.
Man, it's been a long time since I've seen that show. And this one is the Mariner, which did appear in in Disney World, but as like a ghost skeleton zombie, not as a living person. In fact, there were several other paintings that were considered but scrapped. Most of them were original characters, but others included Captain Hook, was supposed to be in it, but he was scrapped, as well as Henry VIII with Anne Boleyn. The idea being that as you moved forward, slowly Anne's head would be chopped off and sit in her lap.
That's maybe a little less family friendly than.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing that when it came to like the conceptual and concept art phase, it seems like some of the Imagineers went through the same route as Junction Point did for the development of Mickey, where they were just experimenting with any idea they could think of, regardless of whether it was actually going to make it.
Sure, I mean, might as well aim for the moon so that in the end, like, you still get to keep most of the tamer ideas.
Yeah, exactly. And now that we've pasted in all the skulls, this is the point where you do not talk to Leona until you've done everything in this room. And there's a whole upper rafter here, which you don't actually really need to do this timing puzzle. You can, with a very precise double jump, get up here without having to push that switch.
Interesting.
Or you could use a TV or an anvil. Both of those work as pretty decent platforms.
Could you use a stopwatch in order to give yourself more time?
Yeah, I just did. And it slowed down time for about half or so.
Ah, I see.
I also used it for the last skull when we were, before the staircase arrived. And if we had not helped that other gremlin, there would be some flying books. If I remember correctly, you do actually fail the quest for collecting the books if you hit them with thinner.
Yeah, I guess that follows.
There is one more thing we have to do up here. After all, this is where Constance Hatchaway was, and we need to find her hatchet. I wonder where that is.
Well, I mean, there is one place we haven't checked yet. I was kind of thinking like over behind that spider web, but yeah.
Well, that's it. That's actually another way through. I had forgotten that there was this side entrance. I'd spent like 10 minutes trying to make the extremely precise jump over there. So here's the thing. This chest, the one that has the axe in it, is the only one that will actually get destroyed if the Sploodooshas explode on it.
Oh.
For every other chest like this, I mean, you can sit it out, but then you can paint it back again. Does not apply here.
That's rude.
Oh yeah, it's definitely rude. And Constance Hatchaway is actually a pretty strange reference because, yes, it is a character in the Haunted Mansion, but she's actually quite a recent addition relative to everything else that's been referenced. Constance Hatchaway, it was the renaming of a character called the Bride, who first appeared in the Disneyland version of Haunted Mansion in 2006, which means this reference would only be 4 years old when this game came out.
I guess it makes it pretty recent, actually. Like, probably, if you're going to be doing research into Disneyland attractions, then that would probably be something that would come foremost in whatever research they did.
Yeah, but I mean, 4 years is not exactly a reasonable amount of time to be forgotten. Like, I don't know, if the duration of a property or a character, isn't old enough to go to primary school yet, I don't think it should count.
Fair.
True.
Also, this is a riff on the Flying Dutchman, which does appear in the paintings, but it's a far different version of that painting. This is one in Stormy Seas. Okay, now we've done everything. Yes, we have. You were trying to trick us with that glitch again, weren't you, Leona? From this angle, she also kind of looks like the evil queen from Snow White. Maybe it's just a coincidence.
I mean, I was sort of thinking that, like, because of the green haze there, like, sort of reminiscent of the magic mirror.
See, Leona, your problems could easily be solved if you just decided to use the Dewey Decimal System. Thankfully, because we helped Leona with all of her stuff, she'll kill the slobber for us. Which, I'm not complaining, because slobbers in this game are pretty shitty. I don't like fighting them.
Well, that was easy.
That's also a horrifying death animation.
And one more Mad Doctor themed. Actually, no, it's a haunted house themed. Because the last one was the final Mad Doctor scene, but this is a third one, kind of like with clock cleaners. This has 3 levels based on it instead of 2. So, because this is pretty long, I guess I'll deal with trivia from both the haunted house and the Mad Doctor that I didn't get the chance to mention. So while there was, primarily recycled animation from the Skeleton Dance, there was some original work done by Ben Sharpstein, who was one of the, I guess one of the interns, or at least one of the junior animators at Disney. iWorks did most of it by himself, but, you can't do everything.
That is true.
So additionally, the singing voice for the Mad Doctor, his name was Alan Watson. And, again, he did a lot of live action bit parts, but he also did voice acting in various cartoons, mostly for Disney. He did a lot of the Silly Symphonies in the 30s and 40s. Probably, if you know him for anything else, It would be he voiced Santa Claus in the 33 version of The Night Before Christmas.
Okay.
That was a silly symphony. Also, do you remember the Puppetoons? George Pal's Puppetoons.
Nope.
He was in a couple of those. Like they were kind of like what Radkid Bass did in the 60s, but about 20 years earlier. So he had major roles in A Hatful of Dreams, as well as Jasper's Close Shave, which was a stop motion adaptation of Barber of Seville. Although my favorite strange fact about Mr. Watson is that one of his singing voice roles in live action film was for the film How Green Was My Valley, which these days is probably best known as the film that beat out Citizen Kane for Best Picture at the 1941 Oscars.
Wow. Orson Welles was robbed.
A little bit, yeah.
And it was all thanks to Alan. Turns out it wasn't William Randolph Hearst who led that conspiracy against Orson Welles. It was actually Walt Disney.
I should have known.
That is a joke. Please don't sue me, Disney.